so
I do, but it's
you
like
just got to deal with my cartoon face.
Fuck yeah, you have to deal with my fat face.
We are live.
And
we are live, everybody.
I'm going to discuss partially. Let me get. Okay, this will also be a no context preview of what will be discussed. I'm going to discuss partially. Let me get.
It looks like I think we're getting an echo from something.
I'm wearing headphones. It ain't me.
Yeah, I think Dimos, I think we're getting.
Oh fuck!
I think the video is playing in another window or something, maybe.
Double podcast.
Oh crap!
I think he just imploded.
Well, he's still there, but he dropped out of the stream. So I will. I guess when you're ready to come back in, just give us a notice in the private chat there, Dimos, and we'll go from there. So Easy Bake is here. The Butter Dome is here. And okay, we got something. Everyone has echo. You are. I'm not hearing an echo.
Neither am I.
Me. How about you guys in the chat? I mean, are you guys hearing an echo? Hey, Captain Cummings is with us as well today. So it's
Dimos, do you have two tabs open? Like one with the StreamYard and then one with YouTube? Because that could be your problem.
Oh, hey, and some old metalhead is here as well. And the captain says no echo on his stream, so that's good. So, yeah, no echo. So we're getting several people saying no echo.
Echo.
No echo. The weirdest thing. So, well, he just dropped out entirely. Maybe he's going to restart his machine or something. I don't know, but we'll have to wait for him to come back because I'm excited to hear about. Well, I'm just having anybody who wants to come on, who makes comics or wants to talk about whatever they make to come on, and it's going to be a little weird show because I don't have a huge organized set of questions or anything, so what we're just going to go ahead and do is just kind of talk about stuff.
Back.
Okay, I don't hear me again, so that's a good sign.
I was playing by accident. I left the. Fuck, I need to get more better streaming.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Everybody, for months, I had found out there's something weird what happened with my computer, and all of my streams, I sounded like garbage for like a solid month, and nobody was all of my guests were too polite to tell me how terrible I sounded.
I remember sort of at my own time early on because I do a YouTube channel, a collab called Tesla's Cube, which is repository like preservation for like 2000s like Hot Wheels media, and I used to do a lot of the narration. So 2018, I didn't have a mic or a good mic, so
I was
terrible.
Yeah, I was way behind the curve on that. I got this after Christmas. This little tutor. But the funny thing about it is that is Doug Tenaple came on my thing. He's like, your mic is terrible. You need to fix that. And then
Doug is a very honest person.
And then like number one Marmaduke fan and Matt Krotz both sent me like links to eBay to like check this mic out. And I was like, oh man, I'm having people gang up on me to tell me how terrible my microphone is. I should take care of that. So anyway, guys, thanks for coming on. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, and we'll go from there. I'm going to be popping around to the different social medias to see if anybody has left me a notification that they want to jump on or anything. And I will be putting the link after a little while just in my regular thing. But go ahead, Sprited, introduce yourself and talk about you just a little bit quick.
Me. Yeah.
You're you, yeah.
So howdy, I'm Sprited. I have a YouTube channel that barely uploads at all, where I review video games and whatnot. But the main passion project I'm working on right now is a webcomic called Alfie Once in Future.
And tell us a little bit, elevator pitch of Alfie Once in Future.
All right, so we're all familiar with Arthurian legend, Sword in the Stone and Merlin and all that. So the main premise of Alfie Once in Future is that the wrong kid pulls the sword, and he has to kind of like prove himself. And there's some twists and turns along the way. You got some familiar characters like Merlin and Lancelot and all that. But there's just a lot of adventuring and proving yourself, and I have some things planned, but I don't want to spoil.
Yeah, no, that sounds fun. That sounds fun. So, and how long have you been drawing?
I've been drawing my entire damn life, man. Since I was 2, at least.
I didn't get really anywhere till I was like 11 or 12. I don't even remember when. I just remember it was like in 6th and 7th grade that I sort of started.
Cool. Yeah, my youngest son, Taliesin, who's working on some comics with me right now, he started drawing when he was very small, and he's never stopped. He's just always drawing. So that's
good for him.
Yeah. That's one of the fun things there. So, but yeah, that's it. So, okay. Daimos, tell us a little about you. What are you doing and how long have you been doing it?
I am a webcomic writer and artist. I've been doing this for like I would argue late 2011, but I don't think it really hit my stride till like 2012. And even then it's like, it's been an uphill battle of sorts, but I've had people around me to help with that. So I do a webcomic. There'll be another, for clarity, guys, if you're okay with this, Rhys, on like, I think May 7th, we're doing another episode that will just be discussing my webcomic, just to give promotion out there. It's nearly done. Well, first stuff of it anyways. It's called Grandor the Mighty. And this was based on characters I've mostly had since 2013. So I'm sure a lot of you out here who are well educated in this stuff knows of a minor Cartoon Network show from 2003 called Megas XLR.
Oh yeah.
Well, this is sort of like that meets this. This might be. Oh, hey, Carl. Speaking of Carl, I mean this guy. It's basically Megas meets Johnny Sacco. So for clarity, it deals with two girls. Well, not girls. They're like 18, probably 19, but like they're part of a college swim team. And an international college. And then, yeah, Carl, you and I talk about that a lot, don't you? And like in Johnny Sacco or Giant Robo, if you prefer, the two of them get shipwrecked by a monster robot. And they, like in Johnny Sacco, they wash up on an island with a robot called Grandor, who was he was basically a prototype robot that's basically meant to combine with technically 4 other robots, because I'll probably mention this in the comic, but the monster robot that attacks the ship was meant to be the combined robot's whip. The joke, it's going to be a joke near the end because I'm almost done with it. Well, for the first major part anyways, where the joke is, I'll get into that, but the villain, who is the one who commissioned Grandor to be built and partially designed him, which Jessica ends up stealing, and then they fly back, and then they end up fighting that robot. And then, like in Johnny Soccer, they get teamed up with a international peacekeeping organization, this being TILT, which is the Trans International Law Trust, which basically is that universe's equivalent of like the UN. And they basically have like high tech, actually alien tech, and I'll reveal that down the line, to go around the world to basically enforce the law, basically.
Yeah.
Basically,
and so you've got several chapters finished already of this.
I'm almost done with the final chapter, which I guess you could call it final chapter. Again, it's more like the pilot, like, in the 80s Transformers began with a 3-part miniseries, which was originally just meant to be like a movie, but then they decided, no, let's just make a different movie. Oh, I see someone who's people who know what I'm talking about. And basically that got turned to a TV show last minute. But if it didn't get picked up, it would have just been a 3-parter. I'm still figuring this out. But basically, Grandor gets captured, and then they have to rescue him. And now they're getting to the final battle, which is now in issue 3. And I'm almost done with it. I should... Because here's the thing, I've been posting it on my DeviantArt, which you can put like a link to that in the description with the webcomic.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
If you will go ahead and shoot that in the private chat, I'll add it to the.
Definitely. Give me a second. But basically, I don't. Some of you might have heard of this. Well, I would assume most of you, but DeviantArt screwed up big time, and now the company is now deciding, hey, let's get rid of the classic web format people grown to know and love, and replace
Yeah,
it
I
with
noticed that.
they're
They
going
changed
to
everything.
make it mandatory, and not only that, but the more risque art is eventually going to be banned from the site, like in Tumblr, which a lot of people are not happy about that. I won't say my thoughts on it because this is a family server, but I can kind of feel where they're coming from. We don't really have anywhere else to go. So, I mean, I have a Pixiv. When I'm done with Grandor, I'm going to leave it on DeviantArt, and I'll probably just move it to Pixiv or a similar site like Pillow Fort, or even maybe even Twitter. I don't know. For the time being, until I can figure out where to go from here. Because I don't even know where the future is. Because I'm doing, so you could say webtoon, but like, you have to remember, I did this comic, took a year to do. When this is done, it'll take a full year for me to have done it. My art's evolved a lot. And when you're reading Grandor online so far, you'll notice there's been a significant quality improvement from when I first did it. But that leads into another issue, consistency of art. Because I don't want to do like a George Lucas and just erase all the old stuff, hide it. I'm not that kind of guy. I think it's out there. It might as well be seen. But at the same time, I really do want to redraw some of it down the line because everyone's their own worst critic. But I think you'll notice like the art goes from like pseudo chibi art to full on relatively detailed art, and it's noticeable. And I rather go back, keep the old pages on my DeviantArt. If I were to go on like Pixiv, I'd probably just redo some of the pages so they look not entirely the same. I think if there's some pages that still look good after all these years, but I'll still keep it the way it is. I'll probably just touch up other pages that I don't think turned out well. I think some of the pages in my second issue, quote unquote, turned out like hot trash. But I'm gonna try to figure it out. I will say about supporting the comic, I don't have any way for you to buy it at the moment. If I do, well, probably when it's done, and I'm probably going to do a made-to-order system. I have to figure out where I could do that from. But basically, you buy a copy, you get it. It's direct to you. It's really all I can do. So I would hope people would like that. But that's really all I have to say. It's definitely entertaining, and I do have plans for a continuation of some sort. I have to figure out what that is and how I want to do it. Because I've got a lot of ideas, a lot of characters, and when I have a lot of ideas and a lot of characters, I have to sort of juggle around what I want to do with them and how to do it. So when did you first get into the whole giant robot thing? Because that's one of the things that, like, it's an interesting aspect about the whole like Japanese film and comics is like the giant robot thing. It's cool, but I think a lot of people have a different journey to get to it. What was your introduction to that? Well, this is gonna sound awkward, but I can't, to be honest. My first cartoon was robot stuff in it. If you're a Transformers fan, you can laugh at me all you want. I agree with you. It's a shame. I got a Transformers first, but it was Energon. If you don't know, Energon is one of the worst Transformer cartoons. But I saw it as a kid when it was on Toonami. I liked it at the time. And from there, got me into the 80s Transformers, Beast Wars, and then I got into Godzilla, and one of my favorite movies as a kid was Godzilla versus Megalon. And it kind of just went from there. It took a while. Then, give me a second. Then I got into 2011. I got into this guy right here. It's so big you can't even fit on the screen. The Great Mazinger. Well, crap. This thing's like freaking gigantic, which is why I can't really show it on the screen. But got in the Mazinger. From there, Johnny Sacco, then Shogun Warriors, and then it's been from there at this point. where I am now. I've got a whole. I don't know if I can show it entirely, but this is my wall collection of robots. It's hard to tell, but like I do collect them, and I have wasted so much money just buying them. You think like collecting, like say, Marvel figures is expensive? Oh no. You do not want to know how some of that stuff cost. It made even my parents spin, but you know, it is what it is.
So okay. So now back to Sprited. Yours, of course, your whole thing is a take on Arthurian legend, kind of turned on its ear.
Yes.
What was your inspiration for doing that?
I've always been super interested in it. Like I wouldn't call myself like scholarly on the subject, but ever since I was a kid, I don't know, like Arthurian legend just always like I'd see it in like different shows and movies, like parodied as like this age-old tale, you know.
Is it bad that my most experience with Arthurian legend is from frickin' Transformers The Last Night? Like, I hate admitting that, but that's probably the most knowledge I've gotten. Even then, that's like a very bastardized version of it.
Right.
Making Merlin a drunk who's only got magic because he got a robot staff.
Yeah.
Well, the drunken Merlin part is a part of Alfie.
I know, yeah.
My Merlin is a drunk.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I have not read either of these books. They're on my list, or either of y'all's comics. They're on my list of stuff to do, but I
Definitely.
haven't made the time yet.
I recommend when it's done. That probably be the best.
CatBit's supposed to be on at some point,
Awesome.
and he asked me to take a look at his script, and I'm not done.
Help with CatBit a little bit on one of his older stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Help with that proof
If he does come on, we're gonna. He actually asked if we could take a look at the script on stream.
Oh, cool.
Like, okay, you just have to be here. So, I put the thing in the Discord. So for those of you guys in who are watching, these guys and some of the others on here are members of the Mattriarchy Discord that the other Matt McGibson put together like a year ago. I don't know enough to do that kind of thing, but these young guys and some others, they just get together, talk about all different kinds of nerd stuff going on, weird little bits about pop culture, American, Japanese, whatever, and it's fun to tune in and be the old guy that doesn't know what's going on, and I really appreciate that. And so when these guys are several of them are like, hey, let's can I talk about my thing? And I said, of course you can talk about your thing. So I mean that's what it's all about. But yeah, I'm actually pretty stoked to check it out. I have looked at I flipped through several of Spride's pages. I love his style. He actually I got a commissioned piece of one of our characters, Demon Priest.
Nice.
Floating around somewhere. And I think he did a really fun job with that character. I might look it up later. But
He's fun to draw.
yeah, he's a fun character, actually. I of course have been doing webcomics with myself and others since 2006. Forces of Good and Evil is the main title we've worked on, and Demon Priest is one of the characters in there, and he is going to be a supporting character in a 4-print book. It's going to be for our patrons on Patreon, and then in print after that, called I've Been to Hell, and it's a story of Chad, the hero student, Greg, the villain student, and Demon Priest, the half-demon villain, who are going on a spring break trip to Hell to visit Demon Priest's grandfather. And while they're in Hell,
oh dear,
it all goes wacky. There's a whole thing, and it's actually that's hilarious. So Zippy the Unicorn has joined with a joke. I came by to tune in. Ha ha ha. Sorry.
Boo.
But yeah, I'm working on the pencils on it are more than half done on it already, and we're looking forward to having the inks done here. My son Taliesin is actually doing the ink work, so we'll hopefully have that getting out this summer. So
if I could plug in. Hold on.
Yeah, Carl Toons has joined us.
Hey, how's it going?
Howdy.
Okay. Well, I mean, if I could do a recommendation for printing option, just this isn't paid. If I would, I could, but just try Kablam. So when I do print Grandor, that's what I'm probably going to use, just direct to order, which I think that would work the best for it.
We actually, I don't have it handy here. We've actually used Kablam in the past.
Okay. Well, if anyone's out there watching it doesn't know, there you go.
Kablam is a great service. The first and second printing of our first anthology that was printed in 2007 was with Kablam. And then our second printing in 2008 was also with Kablam. But then we moved, we started using Comics Wellspring for the third printing, and both printings we've had of our second anthology have been with Comics Wellspring, and we really like them.
It's cool,
but it's not like it's a quality issue. Both put out an excellent product, and customer service is really good.
I just find Kablam a bit cheaper, but still, well, just because like I don't have like a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I'm doing the made to order. So like, if I publish like 5 on my own, I have them for sale. Like, I'm not a good salesman. I wish I was, but I'm not.
Yeah.
If I just leave them out there, they're just gonna sit.
Well, and that's one of the things that's nice about both of those print houses.
Exactly.
It's on demand.
It's on demand,
yeah. You can print as little. You can print if you have fewer. You can print more, and you get a discount the more you print.
Exactly.
Which is very. But the other thing is really that we really liked about Comics Wellspring is they have a shorter turnaround time.
Wow.
And so it's like it's more expensive by pennies on the copy, but it's a shorter turnaround time. And I think their shipping is a little more too. But I mean, it was one of those things where we were needing to get stuff ready to go to cons, and we're like, oh, we have a con in 2 months, and we just finished this project at the the very last line. So if we
helps. Definitely helps to have a bit of customer service, which is what I'm trying to do.
Yep.
So like
and there are a lot of other print houses in the country that do print on demand too, but those
I think those are probably best tailored for what you're trying to, especially for like stuff at cons and stuff like you want to.
Well, and like Brian Ball and the Rags crew get all their stuff done through Kablam. So and Kablam does. They have a. They were having problems with the machine, but one of the services that they offer is they also do square binding, which is something that I don't think Wellspring does square binding, but I might be wrong about that because we haven't ever needed it. But yeah. So Carl, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Just talking comics, talking production with these fine Mattriarchy acolytes.
Yeah.
Is that appropriate? I don't know.
Sure.
I think it's fine.
That works.
It's fine.
Yeah. The devotees of the Mattriarchy. So, hey, you guys are way more active in the Discord than I ever have a chance to be. I tell you what.
I think that's bad. I've been on Discord where like I'm the only active member at this point, and that's just me sharing my webcomic, which is that's what I've become.
Yeah, well, no, I know. I check in. I try to check in at least once a week, and then I'll spend like a half an hour reading everything that gets caught up. But it's a fun little community. So you guys have the wacky sense of humors, and I just appreciate it.
Oh man, I love you guys.
Yeah,
always a good time at the Discord.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's a relatively drama-free zone too, which I like. I don't shun away. I don't run away from drama, but I also like to have a vacation every once in a while.
There's too much drama on the internet, so it's just nice to just have an escape.
Well,
it's good to have chill vibes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, here's my theory on drama. Right, I think that the internet is a force multiplier. Right, it makes everything that we experience just faster and bigger. Right,
I think
So it's all the same stuff we would deal with in real life, but it happens faster because it's over the internet. So
I think there's a quote from a YouTube pooper who doesn't really do YouTube poops anymore, but he used to, Stuart K. Riley. One of his videos, he eloquently put it best. The internet is like hell. It's hard to tell the difference. And no true words have ever been spoken. It really is. And it feels like people start drama because they want the attention and obviously there's guys out there like Keemstar, obviously the cringy guy. Their whole IP is literally, or MO is just make drama to make money, or and even though it's crap, it does make money. And on the internet, there's always drama to be found if you know where to look. And I think once you start looking, you can never get out. It's a rabbit hole.
No, I think that's a fair statement.
I think an apt comparison for the internet is the Dark World from The Legend of Zelda.
That's fair.
It's not necessarily hell so much as it is a weird alternate reality mirror image of the real worlds.
And one of the weird things about the internet, right, is that like it's both real and not real at the same time. Right?
Just like the Dark World.
Wherever it's reality and unreality, the lines have been completely blurred.
Right, exactly. So it's like you can have real friendships, you can commit real crimes, you can make real money, right? But at the same time,
it's all virtual, basically.
It's all virtual, and people aren't necessarily their true selves.
It's a persona. It really is.
But at the same time, when they're not their true selves because they're putting on these masks to be whatever they want to be online, to project that. But
so not only is it like the Dark World from Zelda, but it's also just like Persona.
Yeah. But then the other side of it, though, is because they're freed from their social constraints, because you can insult somebody's mother and they're not going to reach across the table and smack you in the nose. Because of that, they are more real than they are in the real world because they don't have the same level of consequence.
So content.
So it's both real and not real at the same time, and that's one of the things. But like I when I occasionally argue with people about behavior, and they're like, it's just words, and I'm like, they're not just words. You're letting yourself be awful. Think about that. You are letting
so bad at work now. It's bleeding into real life, like it has been the last 6 or 7 years. Like internet drama, it then gets into real life conflict and real life issues, and then which I also blame social media for organizing stuff like that. Yeah. So it's like internet drama then gets brought in the real world, and then now you wonder what's real and fake.
Well, and it's not that it's social media's fault.
It's not. Right? It's not its fault. It's just a symptom.
Right. Yeah. And it's like one of the things. Like you guys are all on Twitter, so you know that Twitter is an special kind of hell. Right.
Oh, I regret ever going back on it. After my no context Johnny Sacco account got nuked by a bunch of, hard to describe it, common writer SJWs. I don't know how they exist.
That's a weirdly specific kind of person.
And they destroyed because I called out their behavior back in July last year, and they thought it was an attack on them when they were just attacking some of my friends. And it was like, dudes, these comic characters wouldn't fucking punch people for disagreeing. You're acting like the villains from those shows. And they mass flagged my account, and then they act like they did nothing wrong. So my account was no more, and I just stayed off until February this year. I got bored and I'm just going to make a Twitter, and that's the biggest mistake I ever made.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
It's Twitter is if the internet, if social media is alcohol, Twitter is like bathtub gin.
It's not bathtub gin. It's alcohol with frickin' ethanol in it, it wasn't Oscar.
It's a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
It's more like drinking the Kool-Aid, if anything. Well, that's more Tumblr. But
I actually try to. I'm not always great about this, but I have found that if I take after the show, I usually try to talk about next week's show or get on Twitter, make an announcement about that, and thank people who came on. And then on Friday, I'll usually post the update to the webcomic, because I usually try to update on Fridays. And then call it Forces Friday, because that's catchy. Anyway, and then I try to just get off of Twitter for the rest of the weekend, right? And spend Friday evening till Monday morning just off Twitter. And one of the things I found with that is it allows me to get more stuff done around the house. I get to spend more time with my family.
Freaking Twitter is literally just an addiction, and it's bad.
That's social media in general. I used to be very, very attached to Facebook, but I just kind of quit it cold turkey, and I've been great since.
Well, one of the weird things I've noticed since One of the things
So
we're
many different groups.
I'm sorry. One of the things I've noticed is you go.
Me?
Yes, you
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just saying, like, from my experience, this is kind of weird. The one good thing about being in lockdown, the only good thing, right, Neostar? Too bad the people on Twitter don't get it. Seriously, don't deal with Toku Twitter. As someone who's had to experience it, if you value your sanity and not have your favorite franchises ruined, don't go on Toku Twitter. Leave it at that. But that's the one thing about the whole freaking lockdown. I've gotten way more pages out of Grandor, and I'm probably going to be done by the end of or middle of May, probably, because normally my schedule was I would upload a new page a week because that would take a time for drawing, figuring how I want to go about it, and whatnot. And with this whole stupid pandemic and only working like, because I work a part-time job as a janitor, but whereas it used to be weekly, now it's only like Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it's in the early morning. But like I've had way more time just to draw my comic when I want to because I don't have anything else to do. And I might as well just speed it up because like, hey, I'm bored. This like eats up like 5 hours of my day just doing it. Time's gonna go slow otherwise, so why not?
And here's the so like this is the thing to ask you guys, right? Because like there's all of this, there's this ongoing meme about that about people like just out of their minds bored because of the quarantine.
I know,
and I don't understand that. Have you guys struggled with boredom in all of this?
I mean, I have a lot of stuff
I
to
would be
do.
hard
So
pressed to
no.
find someone who hasn't, because like freaking Google and all these social media things, they like romanticize it on their homepage and they make it seem like it's this greatest thing ever, and it's like that's one of the biggest lies that's ever been told. It is not fun. Like you have to literally challenge your brain to do something, and for me, it's like I know it literally the Toku Twitter is freaking insane. And I've seen many stories how bad they behave, and I've had to deal with it myself. And I'd rather not get into it, but yeah, funny how that works. It's hey, at least we're essential, at least, because no one else would do the job but us. But you know.
But anyway, back to the thing. I think you're right. I think it like doing something, finding something productive to do is a choice, and a lot of people don't have that. But the thing that gets me crazy about it is just like, I mean, I've never had enough time to get all this stuff done, right? So, I'm an essential employee too. I work in mental health,
Lucky.
and it's not bad. But we can't meet face to face with
yeah,
people
you're having Zoom. Like tomorrow, I'm meeting with
right.
my therapist. Well, we're using Google Duo, but that's what I'm doing tomorrow.
Right. So I normally I have 4 to 5 hours a week that's just driving because I work in a rural area. So I have this extra like 5 hours a week to do things in that I didn't have before. So,
like for me, it's like I literally because like I'm working part-time from like 8 to 11 a.m. But getting to work, I have to get up at like 6:30 because I have to take a disability bus because I'm getting licensed for a car. I got the car ready, just got to get the test done.
mm-hmm.
But I won't have to drive that anymore. But for a while, I've been having to use a Metro Mobility bus. I have to get up at like 6, wait for the bus to come at like 6:30, sometimes even later than that. Get to work like 30 or 45 minutes early and just sit there, talk with my coworker, and then so I spend like 5 hours of the day there, then the rest of the day. But now it's like I have of those 15-hour work days, I'm only having like 6 hours.
Yep.
So like I have to find like 9 hours of stuff to do. And I've just been spending it just doing my comic because hey, I mean DeviantArt's probably not gonna have much longer at this point. Unless they really keep it the way it is and just keep the eclipses up, which knowing them, I doubt they'll do it. I doubt because none of these companies ever listen. But I'd rather just get it done. And at the rate I'm going, I'll probably start page 24 tomorrow. And depending on when, I'll probably be done by the middle of May.
So
time for that.
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely. And so, Carl, what are you working on right now?
Currently, right now, I am working on a project with Matt McGibson.
You've seen some of the stuff you've done on Twitter and Instagram. I've seen it. It's pretty good.
I am so
Thanks.
excited, man.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. Matt said he'll be here in about 20 minutes, hopefully,
Right.
and get talking about that. But I miss having him on the show routinely. He was a fun guy to have around. So I don't want to get too much into that.
He's a fun guy to have as a writer.
Definitely.
Oh man, I can
I
only
don't mean to
imagine.
interrupt, but I probably got to get going for now. I might join up again a little bit. If not, well, it was nice having the time we did have. I'll just if I don't come back, you'll definitely see me on May 7th.
Yeah.
Something. So see you then. If
Yeah.
I come back.
Thanks for coming, Dimos. I appreciate it. And everybody, if you like the giant robot thing, see what Dimos has done with it. The link is in the description. I updated it a little bit ago.
Thank you. See ya.
Refresh your screen, you can find it.
Good.
So, but yeah, now are you still working on Holgrave? I have not checked back in too long.
Oh yeah, the Holgrave is still a work in progress. I uploaded a new episode or chapter or whatever you call them last week. I alternate between working on that and working on Dragblade, which is the me and Matt project.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of interesting because you guys, both Sprited and y'all, there are doing fantasy comics.
Yep,
and that's interesting because there's not really fantasy humor books, and there's not really a lot of fantasy humor books that are out there, or at least stories anyway. I mean, with webcomics, there's millions and millions and millions of webcomics, and so people have, of course, touched on that.
Yeah,
but it's just fun to kind of see those similar ideas finding a home together. That's neat. So
Matt's take on it is interesting because there are also a lot of elements from science fiction rolled in there as well.
Oh, really? Cool.
Like the whole the British Army as a whole, like a Space Marine type aesthetic going on.
Wow, that's
to make sure the sun never set on the British Empire. They made sure to colonize the sun. There are a lot of funny and clever things in the book so far like that.
Well, I'll have to check that. Have to check that out. And you guys are going live with that. We're stealing Matt's thunder a little bit, but you guys are going live with that here this week, right?
Yeah, when Matt gets in, we'll be talking about it a bit more.
Okay. Well, let's move on beyond that. And Holgrave, you said you just uploaded another chapter. How many pages is this one?
Each chapter is, I guess it's not a chapter, it's more like an episode. Each episode is about like 4 to 3 pages each.
Okay. And is that on Webtoons?
Tapastic.
So, yeah, whenever I decide to catch up, I just go to your social medias and look it up that way and don't really pay attention. I just click on the little button. I don't even have a bookmark. That's how terrible I am. But so
I guess Holgrave also technically counts as fantasy, sort of.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It's alternate history is what I'd call it. Because you just have such. I suppose it's probably a fantasy though, some sort of diesel punk kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Airships and the sky pirates and all that stuff, and the shells. So, but I just
shells
love.
were one of the funnest aspects of the universe to develop because I can just go ham with them.
Yeah. And so for those of you guys who haven't ever checked out if you guys are watching in the chat there who have never checked out Holgrave, I'll put in a link in the description. It's not there yet, but basically it is an alternate Earth that has vast caverns instead of seas, and so everybody has developed flying machines and all of the piracy and everything happens in the air as opposed to happening on the oceans. And so that's one of the funnest things about it is it kicks off with a couple of old men going on a balloon ride, and it goes just ant wacky after that. It's just great action. Carl's got this wonderful style that's like an early 60s Astro Boy kind of stuff married with an early 20s LZ Seeger Popeye kind of style, Max Fleischer kind of thing. And
reminds me a lot of Mega Man.
I do take some bits and pieces from Mega Man.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like Mega Man comes from that same tradition too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it kind of comes full circle because the character designs in Mega Man were heavily influenced by the works of Osamu Tezuka.
Yeah. In fact, the whole concept is very much of a rebirth of the Astro Boy idea. So
yeah, definitely.
And so that's one of those things. I mean, and like and I can't remember if I was having you on before or not, but when we're talking about it, but in a lot of ways, Astro Boy was very much the Japanese answer to one of the first Japanese answers to the Western superhero.
Oh, definitely.
And those stem directly from not directly only from, but there's a common ancestry with the Popeye story, and the idea of the brawler coming out of that. So there's definitely it's one of those things. We've talked about this in the Discord too, that there's just this commonality and this kinship that the East and the West have in their hero stories that they don't like to admit. So that is it's just fun to watch. I know that I think that's why like things like My Hero and One Punch Man are so wildly popular, is because they're speaking to something in the American consciousness that America is trying to forget about, and that's just something that's interesting, I think. But
it's very well said.
Yeah, Japan is getting America better than America is right now in their comics. So
It's very true.
It's always interesting to see a Japanese take on what they think Americana is like, because there are actually quite a few in like several different mediums, like video games and whatnot, and they're all very interesting.
And they're not always correct, but there's in terms of like pure accuracy, but they have a lot of the iconography.
Yeah,
and a lot
I guess
of
the best way to describe it is that they're not very correct in fact, but they're often correct in spirit.
Yes,
if that makes any sense.
It's the outside perspective. It's new but familiar in a lot of things.
And like one of the things, because like there's some very distinct differences between American, especially specifically the American variety of Western society and Japanese society. We're way more, middle finger up, back off, don't tell me what to do, than Japan can afford to be. Culturally, they never had that kind of independence as a whole society, because that's something that's very uniquely American in a lot of ways. Because it's like, I can't remember who said it, but somebody once said there are no poor men in America. There are only rich men who are temporarily embarrassed. And that was we're moving away from that as a society, but that was a defining trait of American society for a long time. You even look back at the Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. What Mark Twain was making fun of is that the whole class structure of the European noblesse oblige was just, he had no respect for that idea. The idea that somebody else gets to tell you who you are based on who you were born to be, that's nonsense. You are who you make yourself to be. And that's not something that other cultures have. That's something, and in that way, I think a lot of even Japan's take on America, that kind of freedom, even if we don't completely purely have that anymore, I think our government is overreaching to just lay that out there, but to even have the concept of that is something that is foreign to a lot of people.
True that.
But anyway, that's a whole rant. I don't know if you spotted this. I don't know if you spotted this, Carl, but Neo wants to give you some money. So,
Cha-ching.
there you go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Always an exciting thing to see.
Yeah, right.
After the stream, I guess I'll direct him to the page where I handle my commissions and stuff.
Indeed. So, now with Holgrave, how big a story do you have planned on that one? Because I know you've got like a tons of stuff, and Holgrave's just one part of your larger universe. But
it kind of fluctuated for a while, and I wasn't sure. But I think I've come to the conclusion that Holgrave is going to be a fairly shorter, self-contained story. I'm pretty much halfway through it right now.
Okay.
At this point.
Well, I think that's a really a smart way to play it, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially if you're talking about world building. That's one of the things that we've intended to do with Forces. Is that Forces is a fixed 2-year period in our universe. Not quite 2 years. From October 2004 through May 2006. Right? And so it's Chad and Greg going to hero school, finishing out their junior year, Summer finishing out their senior year, and it ends at graduation. And spoiler alert, but we're only halfway through that right now. So, and it's only taken us 15 years to get halfway through. So, I really want our senior year to take less than 15 years, but we'll see what happens. Now, it's only about 10 years of production because we've had some hang-ups and some artistic team changes and those dreaded hiatuses that all webcomics go through. But so far, we've avoided permanent hiatus, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe 2023 we'll finish it all up. I don't know. We'll see.
I respect that you don't conform to like the floating timeline that happens when characters need to stay a certain age, but the creation takes too long.
Oh yeah, we when we first set out our universe, Chris and I were both big comics fans. He was more of a Marvel fan with a respect for DC. I was a DC fan with a respect for Marvel. But the thing we both realized when the hang-ups that both those companies had is that they refused to let their characters develop because they had to stay ever young.
Right.
So with Marvel's answer was just to ignore the past progressively. But pretend they were honoring the past. But with the DC, they just would go through and just have these huge cataclysmic events that would rewrite history in chunks. And so, Batman's career when the New 52 started, they said, "Oh, this all happened within less than 10 years," when it should have been closer to 20, and Batman should be like 45, and middle age should be catching up to him, And that would make for, I think, a more interesting story is how do you, move along with that? How do you continue to have those ideas? And can you have a Batman that's more on the line, is less Bruce Lee and more Sherlock Holmes? I think that would be a really fun way to take the character. Moving it more cerebral type stories and let the younger people have the acrobatic fights and everything. But I'm not running DC, so. When
not yet, at least.
Well, I don't see that in my future. I'm far too old to get my foot in that door, and so that's that. I'm pretty sure that ship sailed. So,
first DC, then the world.
But so what we decided to do is we wanted a fixed timeline that we know when things are going to happen and how it fits in, and. We originally were hoping, and like everything, all the stories we've done in our anthologies, on our webcomics, on our single issues, they're all part of our one universe, but are all building toward a big event that is down the road. And I'm not sure we'll ever actually get to tell that story, but there is a big story, and it comes back to the nature of, in a lot of ways, the nature of Americanism, believe it or not, through the lens of superheroes. So it's a big concept idea. We'll see how we get with all of that. So, but
superheroes are definitely one of the best fictional devices to use to explore the concept of Americanism, since they're such a American concept.
I agree. In fact, what's his name? Twitless, who I had on last week and the week before, actually. One of his theories is that the reason that there is something so distinctly American about the superhero that when Europeans try to write superheroes, they inevitably ruin them. And I don't actually think that's 100% true, but in a lot of cases that I think there is something about that. That there is something that speaks to the American experience about it. And I think part of it is that in a lot of ways, every superhero is an everyman. Even though Batman represents like the knight errant, the noble lord who protects the realm for the common people, that whole chivalric idea. At the same time, he's still just a man, and anybody can be Batman if they train hard enough. If they they may not be a Batman as awesome as Bruce Wayne, but they can be that kind of guy. And one of the conceits of a superhero universe is that it's legal, right? It's at least permissible for the average person to act on behalf of justice, and act on behalf of the law. And so that's something that I think that is one of those things that doesn't, like My Hero Academia. They're all licensed and they're going through school to be licensed and everything else. I don't know if you guys ever read the companion series Vigilantes.
I have not read Vigilantes.
Is actually it's a companion. It's set in the same world. There are some crossover characters, but one of the really interesting things about it is that it does beg this question of authority, because all of the vigilantes are technically criminals, but they're taking care of cases that the main heroes won't see because they're not they're purse snatchers. They're the day-to-day crimes. And that's one of the things that I think is an interesting take on that. Yeah, actually, talking back to the Batman issue, Neo said could rely more on gadgets and power armor to compensate for his age. And you are correct about Batman Beyond. That was the intrinsic idea within that. And I think they did a really good job of developing the Batman Beyond concept. I think it's a really fun one. I do wish they'd kept it out of the main continuity, but that's a different thing. And yeah, Vigilantes is really fun. But yeah. So with when it comes to Alfie, Sprited, do you have a big story in mind, or are you just doing gags as you see them, or what's your narrative journey with that one?
Well, I had some basic ideas, and then I collaborated with a close friend of mine as my writer, and so we sat and stayed up all night one night, and we came up with the idea of like kind of a
my microphone might work, but I can't hear anything that's being said to me.
Oh, well, frick.
Well, that's going to make interviewing guessing this whole way. I don't know why Google Chrome has actually been giving me a lot of flack lately. Like nothing is giving any audio.
Oh wow,
fun.
Here, hang on. I see. Mine isn't working. Hang on a second. I'm going to leave him a note in the private chat.
Technical difficulties.
There we go.
It's working now.
Oh,
right, you can hear us?
You can hear us now?
Yeah, I don't know why. It was this has been an ongoing issue with my with Google Chrome in particular. Like the other browser, which is just Internet Explorer, Microsoft rebranded it to Edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as cool as they think it is. It still kind of sucks, but
it is not.
For some reason, that has audio, but it doesn't support Streamlab.
Yeah, I actually use I either will use Brave or Firefox for Streamlabs, even though like Streamlabs says it prefers Chrome. Brave's built on Chrome, so that works easily, but it works just fine in Firefox too. So
yeah, it was just specifically that I was about to open the link in Edge. It was like, hold on, cool kids only. Go back home with your Edge ass. Specifically those words, like that's verbatim. They think they're cooler than they actually are.
they're all edgy now.
Yeah. Anyways, so how has it been going? What have you guys done so far?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. I was just talking to Sprited about Alfie, and that you were working with a writer to plot the story, and that's where we left off with stuff. So let's pick that back up again because I'm curious.
Yes. Sorry. So I've collaborated with a longtime friend of mine, Josh McHipster. He's kind of, I've had this idea in my head, but I just can't like communicate it. So like he brought structure into it, and he's now writing the comic for me. So we sat down, we had an all-nighter, and we got very tired, and we discussed like a kind of trilogy plan where Once in Future is only like the first part of it, and then there'll be like a second part where it's like they're older, and the third part I can't really spoil the premise because there's kind of there's kind of something that appears later in the story that I don't want to spoil for the reader. But yeah, there's I got some stuff planned. I really hate that I can't say much, but
and that's fine. And one of the things that
Hold on, I gotta ruin his career. The actual happen, Merlin gets cleaned up, becomes a born again Christian.
Oh my god, you predicted it! What the hell?
I know. I just couldn't. I'm terrible with secrets.
You can't say that. This is confidential.
That's actually a hilarious choice.
Actually, if you guys have ever read Stephen Lawhead's Pendragon Cycle, that's a plot point in the Pendragon Cycle is that Merlin was actually raised a believer. So he always was. Not always, but I mean he was raised in the church. He was raised
like the born again Christian, like everything falls apart. So then like you're just like out of nowhere, you're relevant again, and you're like, but you know what I mean by that. Like it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the way that it's like a stereotype.
Yeah. Anyway, hi. I am the CatBit. I am the creature that stalks the night and harms the innocent. I make crappy cartoons, especially one that Matt here is helping me on.
Yeah, I was, and we were talking about that earlier because I did start looking through the script. I didn't get super far with it because I'm easily distracted.
No, you're good, man.
But we can go ahead and talk that over a little bit in a little bit. We'll kind of like maybe wrap the show up, going over the script a little bit and kind of talking about. I did do some suggestions to tweak the dialogue on the first like 3 pages, so we can go take a look at that. Just kind of suggestions, see where it goes. But so Sprited, how long do you think the first part Once in Future is going to be?
No idea. We're just kind of playing it by ear, plotting as we get there. We're aiming for maybe 20 chapters. The first chapter is already out.
Okay.
And we're trying to release every other month.
Okay.
Because we're slow.
Yeah. That's coming up with those long stories. Sometimes it becomes a situation where you're, are you, is your ambition overweighing your skill? Is it really worth it? And I know, I think every creator comes to that point where they really question it.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the things that I like to do when I have the time is sometimes look at old web comics that have been abandoned and kind of follow the track of what happened with them. Did the writer or the artist lose the passion for it? Did they run out of ideas? Did they get busy with real life? Did they finish up and just no one's talked about it in 5 years because it was from 2007, or whatever.
Right.
So it's one of those things that's something I enjoy doing, is just kind of seeing what had been out there. And or even like hunting around through the Internet Archive to find webcomics that just don't exist anymore, and looking at what used to be out there. So I know that like there's sometimes the story of the creator is as interesting as the story of the creation itself. So that's one of those things that. So I applaud that you've got a vision, that you've got the idea of doing the idea of the trilogy. And I love your style, so I'm really looking forward to digging into that one of these days.
Right. Whenever you get around to it.
Whenever I get around to it.
My backlog is massive too, so I can relate.
So
there's tons of comics I
Same.
still have to read.
Oh yeah. I've got drawers full of comics that I haven't read yet. So, well, Matt, since first of all, welcome back. Or actually, maybe second of all, since we talked a little earlier.
It's been 84 years.
It's been a long time since I had you on the stream, and I really do I miss having you around, man. You're a good second chair, that's for sure.
I love doing it. Eventually, there was one big change in my life that happened when my grandfather passed away, and then it all just kind of stuck from there. Schedule changes and things like that. Now, I guess, do you want me or Kat to go first?
Well, let's have you go first.
Okay,
Yeah,
I guess.
Go ahead, man.
So, I announced it last year, but it's actually getting done now. A bunch of stuff happened, and honestly, I'm much happier with the way things are now versus where they were going before. But so last year I announced Dragblade. A greatest story never told, almost a tin can knight with shoes of bread and a half-eaten sword, and his travel and his adventures in actual history, the history that was completely erased. A dystopian past, really. And I announced it last year, and like I said, a bunch of things happened. And now, through me realizing that I saved up a good bit of money from working a pre-coronavirus job, and nobody took into account that anything like this was going to happen. But I saved up a lot of money, and I realized that I didn't have a lot of time because I was working at school and trying to make time for my girlfriend. I didn't have a lot of time, but I had money, and Carl had too much time, but he didn't have very much money. So we kind of had the idea of fixing both problems. So I would pay him, and this way it actually gets done, because one of the other issues is that I would have little time to draw, and when I would draw, I'd be not comfortable with it, where I'm not to the point I'm oh, this is terrible, but to the point that I'm I don't know if this is the way I want to release it.
Yeah.
Well, and see, this is how capitalism works, right? When one person has the money and not the time, they find somebody else who has the time and not the money, and they trade.
Lol.
But yeah,
That's a pretty good way of looking at it.
That's exactly how it works. Because realistically, when you have employers, that's why employers hire employees, because they can do the job because they started the company or whatever, right? They can do it, but they don't have the time to do that and the other thing. So they bring somebody else on to do the one so that they can do the other.
It's basically free labor.
Yeah. Well,
no, in this case, it's
paid labor, but yeah.
Yeah, unless you're in Korea.
It's paid in exposure.
Oh, thank gosh, I'm not getting paid in exposure.
Walk around in his Prada. I know he's spending the money I'm giving him.
Unless you're in Korea, unless you live in Korea.
I want to live in Korea.
I do.
Or north or south, depends.
So anyway, so Dragblade, you guys are going to be releasing that online?
Relatively soon, probably within a week, but there's a lot of work that's going into getting. Right now, the first chapter is actually completed. It's a matter of getting it uploaded. Corn, Crows, and Crucifixion. And once that's all done, and it's actually we might do a release maybe sometime over the weekend, whenever it's ready. But the other, we wanted to make sure that we were working ahead, so we were actually finishing up the second chapter, and we're going to work at least one issue ahead, so that there's some time.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Yeah,
If you
so
can
even though I've been
afford to do
super
that, that's
excited
the best.
about this, we entered production with the first episode, the first chapter about a month ago. I'm really excited about it. I don't know if Carl can screen share, or I guess this was kind of last minute. So, I was wondering, Carl, do you have any good kind of promotional pictures or pages or something?
Do you want me to bring up the page I just finished?
It depends on how spoilerish it is to the end of whatever.
It's the one with the gun.
Oh yeah, you can bring that up then. Bring the gun in.
Gun.
Okay, video time. Can I flip the video or?
Carl's out here catching Bigfoot with that camera quality.
Sorry about that. Is that good?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so there he is. There's one of my most prized, or my one of the creations I take the most pride in. And you see he's inking it right now, and it's over there. We have the main character carrying the Scotter gun. It's a part minigun, part shotgun. It works as both. It's amazing.
That looks
Incredible.
amazing.
But yeah,
I guess
it's it's my two favorite types of guns. So I was like, what if they were just one gun?
Combine.
And so there we have kind of our main duo there too, with Joseph Dragblade and Bartha Lamander, this little stuffed doll magician from the BOOF, the Bureau of Organized and Outstanding Magics.
Well, that's fun.
It's a lot of whimsy. It's a lot of bastardization and pun. There's puns, villains named
Lots
after
of puns.
curse words. You've got the main villain, Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's like the Viking death metal warlord of Damatal, which is actually it's all the Norse countries. And so then he's also got his group of friends. That's also some of the other villains met out, like Fakhovsky, the dictator. There's also there's this Egyptian god named Suket, and what was it? Okay, and then Dr. Friggenstein.
Should I show off the beginning of the page that has Bartha casting the fire spell?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Okay, I'll show that off too. Video time.
Wait, Carl, I have a question.
Yeah.
Who's coloring, if I can ask?
It's actually going to stay in black and white.
I'm sort of coloring. It's kind of coloring. I'm just adding a bunch of monochromatic inks like grays and silvers.
Okay.
Yeah,
we wanted to make it look kind of dingy and grungy, so we went with a more black and white, grayish 80s indie comic.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing was 80s indie comics. So in particular, Ninja Turtles, Cerebus, and Sam and Max.
Especially Cerebus, in a way.
Cerebus, even though I've never actually read the thing itself, aside from the interactions, I've seen a lot of artwork of it, and I've read the crossovers between the Turtles and Cerebus, and I was like, wow, I really dig that.
Yeah, is Cerebus basically that one pig that looks like a Rayman character?
Yeah. He's an
That's
aardvark.
a pretty good way to describe it, yeah.
Yeah, he's supposed to be an aardvark, but yeah.
Are you for real?
Yes.
With
the
Cerebus the aardvark.
Yeah,
I mean, at least he kind of looks a bit like an aardvark, but then again, we also have Arthur, who's an aardvark.
I bring up Arthur, his cheating ass. Oh, I'm an aardvark. Bullshit, you're a bear. You're closer to a muskrat.
He is very muskratty. I'll give you that much.
Over here, it's
so we've had a lot of fun putting this all together.
Yeah.
Here's some inked panels. This is what it actually looks like inked.
We'll go ahead and zoom in on you again there.
So there's it's a panel. There's this crow picking him up by his the collar of his shirt. And then I just think it really fits the look, especially you see the little lines that show up the creases for when he's getting picked up by the collar. The outlines are on the black of the crow's body. Yeah, I could not be happier with the way this is turning out, and I really couldn't be happier that it's actually getting made because it kept getting pushed back, and then when I would have time, I'd be exhausted from the rest of my activities, so then I'd just lay around. But now it's I'm like I said, I'm very, very happy with the way it's coming out, and it should be the first issue alongside a prologue, so it's a little bit of extra material. There's like a little prologue that explains why everything. Hang on, sidetrack. Someone says that Arthur was some kind of capybara. That would make so much more sense.
Yes.
Look at him.
But that makes no sense because but Arthur isn't Hispanic.
And I say, hey,
What a wonderful time of day.
Hey, let's go outside.
And actually, the thing is, like the first Arthur book is actually called Arthur's Nose, and he's very specifically supposed to be an aardvark, and the point is that he's getting made fun of because he has a funny nose, and he has to learn how to navigate himself in a social situation where people are making fun of him, and then slowly the nose shrunk and vanished over the course of stories.
And over the years, the characters basically just became humans, but not.
With ears, humans with animal ears.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Matt Damon is the scariest thing ever in the Arthur universe.
You'll never be.
Like Cthulhu and stuff like that, probably in their universe. Matt Damon is sitting above him on the food chain.
You'll never eat lunch.
Lying about his credentials.
You'll never eat lunch in this neighborhood again, Arthur.
You tell Arthur Reed he'll never eat lunch in this town again. But he's not from this town. He's from wherever it is. You tell him he can't eat there either.
Matt Damon.
I love it. He's in line for for lunch, and the lunch lady's on the phone. Oh yes, Mr. Damon, right away. And she just takes Arthur's food and dumps it in the trash.
I'm just reminded of that dumb-looking Matt Damon puppet from Team America World Police. He doesn't actually say anything other than Matt Damon in a really dumb voice. He just goes, Matt Damon.
I have never actually seen that movie.
I mean, it's at least it's better than what they did to like Rob Snyder. But then again, like I say that
Rob Schneider.
The Film Actors Guild of America.
I've actually never seen. The thing is, I know it exists. I've seen clips from it, like I'm So Rongri and stuff like that, but I've never actually seen the movie. My dad has, and I knew about that.
I haven't seen the movie in full.
I mean, the only thing I know about is like there's a scene with there's like a puppet orgy scene from what I've heard.
Right.
I know the main villain of the film is Kim Jong-il. So, like, I'm actually kind of excited to go look this up.
Just as long as you don't call him Winnie the Pooh, this podcast will be fine.
Matt Damon, the lost Pokemon nobody wanted. Rip Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt the Demo.
I don't know if that's true, but it is funny.
Yeah, it'd be like, what if there was like an alternate version where it's like Matt Demon, and it's like his inner, it's like a Jekyll and Hyde thing, like at night his name like the A in his name just warps into an E, and he grows horns and stuff.
Incredible.
I think you're missing the point that they take the horns out in post.
Take the horns out in post. No, they'll add them in post. That's why it's like I am Matt Demon. You don't look any different from before. Oh, they add all the effects in post.
You need to write that. That needs to be something you actually make.
Put that in the comic.
A short called Matt Demon. Well, I have a ton of jokes and stuff that I write down for the comic. Like either I'll be learning about history or something like that. Like that's the fun stuff about this is it's mostly just making fun of European history, or not even making fun of, but like twisting it around and making it more interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
Instead of these guys went and it's like.
So
here's the Scots lost at the Battle of Thing. No, it's the Scots and the Irish were actually one nation. They didn't get along, so they did the only rational thing any adult could do. They got shovels out and dug Ireland into the sea. That's no long bastards. And then English was like, excuse me, would that be like half of your men going that way? Yeah, and good riddance. Yes,
Wow, these Irishmen sound
good
like
riddance indeed.
wow, these Irishmen sound like complete fucking cunts.
It's great because like or it's like that's why Ireland and Scotland are separated, and that's why the Scots are part of the United Kingdom and Ireland, except for the northern part that nobody really wanted.
I mean, hey, be grateful. Be grateful it's the Scots and not not the British. Now those are the ones you have to be very wary of.
Well, that's the thing is I'm actually all three.
Yeah.
I say the more concerning part is if there's a hard ass rabbit.
Don't trust anyone, not even yourself.
The island is Britain, so anybody from the island is British. So Scots, the Welsh, the Cornish, the Angles, who are there now, the English, they're all British because the island itself is Britain.
That's what I love is it's actually in this world like there's a lot of things. It's like you got most of the spelling right, but there's things like Britain is Briddin and stuff like that. There's a lot of jokes like that. Then you have places like instead of Holland or the Netherlands, you have the Hollow Lands, which are like these bug people ruled nation that are also one of the biggest powers on the planet.
Cool.
And there's a lot of great ideas we have coming forward, like and a lot of stories I want to tell with this character, with this group of friends, and I hope I can keep it running as long as I can.
Yeah,
it's a free to read kind of project of love. Like I still pay Carl for it, but that's because I have external income. But like it's become a thing that I do it just because I'm not trying to don't disrespect to the people out there trying to sell things, but I don't really I'm not trying to make money off of this. I just kind of wanted to make it.
Mm.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the things that when it comes to art, what art is, right? I think it's great for people to make money, even make a living off of art, but you're an artist if you do it even if you didn't get a payday out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
That being said, if I do get I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to be like, oh well, I'll just go and give this to the needy. Which actually, I will do some of that because that's just the right.
Watch this get an Eisner one day.
Well, it's like I don't know if you guys saw about a month ago. I had Doug Tenaple and George Alexopoulos on.
Oh crap!
And it was a fun show. But one of the things we talked about was that whole idea that you do it even if you didn't get paid, but you really want to get paid, and that's what I think.
Oh, absolutely.
That's one of the things that Doug talked about. He's just like, if I can't, if I get to the point where nobody's buying my comics, I only want to make the big hardcover, epic feeling books, and if people aren't buying them, I'm just going to put it online for free because I have to make these comics. I'm going to make these comics anyway, but I really want to sell this 5-pound mass of paper to you.
Hey, Rhys, this is how you're going to say it. Okay, I would do it even if I didn't make money, but if I just ran out of all my fans, I would put it online. Okay, I just want to be able to create things for the world. And I laughed. Apparently, it's a possum or what? It was a weasel or something that ruined my life.
I have no idea.
But it's like how in his picture, it's always him sitting there, kind of looking like Rhett from Rhett and Link. He's like, wow. And then he's got the rat on his shoulders. So, I would always make this joke when I was doing my Doug Tenaple impression with Carl or anybody. I just go, "Yes, my rats." And Carl was like, "Yeah, but that's a weasel, right?" And I was like, "What the fuck?" And I was just back down. I was like, it was one of those moments where you just stop what you're doing, you get in the fetal position on the floor and start crying. Everything in your life has been a lie.
This is why I'm glad he's writing a humor comic.
Yeah,
I'm actually trying to get Doug Tenaple on board for the podcast I run with some friends called Comfy Couch Cast. We recently uploaded an episode where we did an interview with Miss Jassafunk this Monday.
Yeah, and like about a month or I want to say like about 2 months ago at this point, they had a great episode with the lead animator, Milton Knight, the lead animator for Robotnik on the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, even if you're not really familiar with that, a quick description is that Robotnik is easily the best part of the show. The voice acting is, I'm a Dr. Ivo Robotnik. He's got like a very bombastic appearance. He's got a large ass, and he's very animated. Like all of his motions are very funny, and he's easily the best part of the entire show.
I think that funny cast with Milton was amazing.
I say like
you could tell that he had a lot of fun.
The interesting thing about like the episode was like he actually told us this that he really hates the cartoon itself.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
I can believe it. I love the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, but it's mostly because of Robotnik.
I mean, the only episode he enjoys is like the one where Robotnik's being forced into marriage by this one crazy Amazonian chick or something.
What about the one with Robotnik? I decided to announce my...
I love how he rolls his R's.
It's so much fun. Like, there'd be a thing, aside from this past month where I've been... see, Peter, I've been going around fucking like killing Cusco and having no control over the lower half of my body.
I'd say like the only thing that I'm saying like there's like something to be expected in like a couple weeks or so. We're hoping to get the thumbs up from the episode we did with Charles Zimbalist on. We got to interview, like his work and like his workflow with like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and whatnot.
That's very cool.
I'm excited for that because
I'm really excited for that one. Those two
one of my biggest inspirations. He's amazing.
Oh yeah, those two, like especially Crash Bandicoot. Those two are really a defining part of, it's easy just to say my childhood, but like that's early childhood memories. I have very fond, and some of my favorite and like some of the first games I played were like Crash Bandicoot. I think 1, 2, and then Wrath of Cortex, and then I had the Game Boy games, which are surprisingly good.
Do you know what?
Neo Star in the comments says snooping as usual. I see.
You know the funniest thing I remember you bring up with Crash Bandicoot, though, Matt?
What is it? What is it?
The one time you admitted that, like, when you used to go to the pool, you used to imitate like Crash's drowning animation, and you would just freak your mom.
I got in trouble because I would imitate Crash's drowning animation, where like if he fell in the water, he would just like kind of lay there face down, and I got in trouble because I was at the pool and I did that, and like it scared a bunch of people who thought I was drowning. But I remember, and they picked me up and like, hey, what's going on?
That's amazing.
Why can't you draw like
that? Like, I had a lot of stories like that.
Dude,
Why
that
can't
is
you
like
draw
the
like-
single most Matt McGibson story I have ever heard.
Why can't you draw like Banjo
A
Kazooie?
very good friend of mine was and Carl's. Just saying, it's like I feel like you have a story for everything. I'm like, I do.
Now, Matt, maybe if you drawn like how Banjo Kazooie drowned, maybe you wouldn't have gotten into trouble.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever drowned as Banjo Kazooie in the game.
No, like when they drown, like they just like Banjo's like flailing his arms up and like around while he's.
Oh, that's like. Oh yeah, I think I might have died once to drowning because that seems super familiar.
It's weird how of all of the cartoon animal mascot platformer characters, Crash Bandicoot has like the most unsettlingly real drowning animation.
I mean, it's
like
Mario has a weird one.
his lifeless body just floats up to the top.
I say like what makes it worse is like the cringing sounds Crash makes in like the remake when he drowns.
Yeah.
No, like the way he drowns in like the remake actually makes me uncomfortable.
There are a couple of things like that where like Crash gets like vaporized or like turns into cinders. And
See, those death animations are actually like really cartoonish and goofy.
I don't think they're like they don't like creep me out, but like it is one of those things. I'm like, wow, I didn't really think about it too much. How because there's ones where like he gets sliced into pieces, Looney Tunes style, and like pieces of him fly out like chopped salami, just like in like so he just like, kind of topples over.
Well, like in the Crash games, like all the death animations are super goofy, but like, is there any way you can make the loss of air funny? Like,
I mean, Donkey Kong
unless it's in
Country
like in
kinda- I mean,
space or something.
I mean, Donkey Kong Country kind of make it work with the tropical freeze.
I have not played Tropical Freeze.
Okay, so like when Donkey Kong or like the other Kongs drown, like they put their hands in front of their face and like they shrink into a pile of bubbles.
They vaporize. That's upsetting.
No, like Donkey Kong just shrinks into a pile of bubbles and implodes.
That's kind of upsetting. The idea of just struggling to breathe and then turning into bubbles.
That's
Mario and Sonic, they just kind of pop out the plane, or they pop forward like a layer of existence, and then just like
like Mario.
Yeah.
No, at least with Mario and Sonic, they just fall on the screen. Like Donkey Kong, it just implodes.
When Sonic drowns, he like screams. It's horrifying.
His entire existence just wiped.
What if Sonic was just reminded of like the shit he saw on DeviantArt? Maybe that's why he's screaming.
You can't outrun that. It'll always be there.
The last thing he thinks about
No matter
before
how
he
fast
dies
I
is
run,
legacy.
I cannot outrun the pain.
The last thing he remembers is like a Sonic feet porn, and that's what makes him scream.
You know what made me scream was when I saw people that like the day the movie came out, someone's like Sonic movie foot scene. Or like barefoot scene. And I was like, no. And in the movie, it's like, and when I actually saw the movie, I'm like, wait, that was a rip. No bare feet at all.
I say like if I were in his shoes, like I'd be screaming if the last thing I remember was like the fucking Sonic toilet.
We don't talk about the Sonic toilet here. That is not something we talk about.
I will bring up the Sonic toilet because I was forced to see the Sonic toilet.
I am sorry for you.
Sonic and Shadow toilet.
Rhys is just scratching his head, wondering what this thing could mean.
I will say this: whoever made that poster, I hope you're getting the help you need.
You know,
I wonder where that artist is now.
That may need like decades of therapy.
One time, I remember I was like just frustrated with something, and no, somebody drew a picture of it, and they just said "I'm sorry," and it was a picture of like art, but in the style of Steven Universe, and it said "The Simpsons dough." And I was like, I hope bad things happen to you. Like, not too bad of things. Like, I don't hope anyone dies, but like, I do wish that you just got held up a little bit longer in the line.
No, Matt, you don't understand. The people who make cartoons today, they say that the Bean Mouth style is derivative of The Simpsons, so we should be calling it the Simpsons art style.
Someone
is it
pointed out that
derivative
they kind of have maggot mouths because of the way it looks. And I was like, I'm not going to unsee that.
And no, but it's like for me at least, I'm just like, yo, you guys are really that desperate to think you're good artists that you're gonna drag the Simpsons down to your level.
Don't you bring the Simpsons into this? They've been through enough.
I've always drawn smiles like that with the Bean style for years.
Nobody will claim Family Guy as their art style, though. Poor people.
Except for real anime.
I mean, let's face it, if you even claim Family Guy as your art style, that means you failed as an artist.
Well, just because, like, the one thing is, even in the older ones, it's a very simplistic art style. And then, like, the thing is, it really doesn't... Where it becomes really painful is, like, when it started going computer animated and everything just looks, like, super stiff.
I now vow to... Sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I now vow to draw every Family Guy character on model.
I feel like both The Simpsons and Family Guy were negatively impacted by digital animation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you know the budget for a new Family Guy episode is like over $1 million or something crazy like that? Like,
oh my god,
where does it go?
The thing is some of it goes to writing, but I can't see how.
No. I feel like the millions of dollars is spent on like the overly gory scenes.
Yeah.
I never
just
got
can't
the
stand
appeal
Family
of
Guy.
that. Like, why do in Family Guy in particular, like they have these like cutaway gags, like it gets like really gruesome, and you're like, that would have worked just as well if the character just like hit their head and was like and just like passed out. You don't need all.
You don't understand. We gotta get like the stupid edgy teenagers to watch this crappy show.
Well, I'm a simple man. I like Quentin Tarantino movies. I like violence and gore. But
violence is really. Oh, hi Matt.
Hey guys.
We are joined by Matt Trin. Hey Matt, how's it going?
Yo,
Oh, I'm
Hi,
good.
I forgot you don't care about me anymore. You found another one. When somebody loved me.
Hey, I hate to break it to you, but I have had a bevy of other Matts on the show since you went on hiatus.
Oh,
we had Matt Johnson and Matt Krotz, and I guess that's it. So there you go.
No, no joke. I read this webcomic that's drawn by a storyboard artist for Family Guy. It looks like a Family Guy, but it's the 18th century Europe aristocracy, but everyone is of African descent like Cleveland. And then I declared that the word terrible become terrible. So says the Cleveland.
There you go. Speaking of Matt Krotz, he's right there.
There he is.
There he is. So Matt Trin, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's been going good. So, got another ticket.
Are you working during the COVID?
Unfortunately, I'm a essential worker.
Fuck me. How long until this stupid bat virus goes away?
I don't know. Never
I can't
actually.
wait because
I mean,
I've been locked in my home, and you figure, oh Matthew, you're homeschooled, but I've had a taste of the outside world.
This
Its
virus
corruption calls to me.
This virus has been affecting me so badly that it's been turning me into a fucking Redditor.
I've been a shut-in my entire life. Now I have to be, and I hate it.
I know. It's like I liked it when it was an option. I don't like it when
yeah, that's actually one thing my wife points out. We're kind of homebodies anyway. We don't really like to go places and do things, and we're not necessarily fond of people, but we like having the option. We like knowing that, if we want to go to... The worst is that because we're not under an official quarantine out here in Nebraska, there is recommendations. And so a lot of our businesses are following the recommendations. So like our 24-hour Walmart closes at 8:30. And I'm used to buying groceries at 11 o'clock at night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we need toilet paper, suddenly some jackass bought it all 6 weeks ago. So we're just like, these things that should be normal things are now prohibited from us. So
I'm already missing my 5 a.m. trips to Walmart.
Exactly. I gotta wait till 6 to go now, or whatever.
I miss my excuses to go out. But well, first of all, I really miss my girlfriend. I haven't seen her in about 1 month, but it feels like 2. And so that's been. And then after that, there's like restaurants and stuff. Like I haven't been eating out, and it's like my weight and my weight's been going down, and my wallet has been staying healthy. But at what cost?
Hey man, I need the money because I want to spoil this one girl I like. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I mean, you know what I did for? I've bought Danielle some pretty expensive things over the years, like not just jewelry, but like other things like memorabilia for TV shows that she likes and other stuff. Like I don't know. I don't like to think that I buy. You buy people's happiness, but at the same time, I also feel like it's a good show of like you care about somebody.
I'm in the mindset where like if you want to like you want to spoil your girl or something, like I'm in the mindset where like sometimes any Friday nights you would take him out to like a fancy dinner or so because like
can't do that anymore.
Well, for some places I had the luxury of ordering pizza last night. I just got into like a depressive funk where I'm like, what doth life? And I was just feeling really bored. Like every day was just kind of going the same.
You're jumping into Hamlet's soliloquies.
Hey, you're okay with me saying all these cusses, right?
Some of them.
As far as we've had people that have said worse.
Yes,
I'm sorry. It's just
I specifically have my channel marked not safe for kids just in case people slip up.
I'm sorry. It's just like I'm used to like what I'm due on the Comfy Couch Cast. I say cuts, fucks, bitches, and sluts.
Wow.
I've learned a lot of Spanish curse words. Most of them
Ay,
don't-
cállate maldito idiota.
I've had some ones like I'm not gonna repeat them here because I feel like if I repeated some of them, you'd get a content strike.
Oh
But-
no, you probably get canceled. Granted, I'm not the kind of person who would care.
The best, the best thing is that I have a very small channel. So,
hey.
But anyway, back to Trin. You've been still working and on everything. Have you been able to find yourself creatively productive?
Oh yes, I have. I've been working on the Kickstarter campaign, getting that all set up, as well as finding all this old documents from the development cycle of Mythics.
And you guys you're getting ready to launch issue 2. And I'm assuming the art's already being done on it and everything, right?
Yep, we plan on having it out by June.
Okay.
At the earliest. But I don't want to make it a promise because too many things could go wrong. Like my artist gets COVID and she's out for months.
Right.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. that would be horrible. But is she stateside?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Thankfully, she just took the test and she's free of COVID.
Good.
So fingers crossed.
Yeah. So far. So
yeah, we all keep our fingers crossed during this awful time in our lives.
And here's one of the things about that. Though, when you really realistically look at it, it's in the general population. So essentially, virtually everyone is going to get it, right? It's just a matter of, will we have enough immunities to fight it off? Will we have strong enough immune systems? Will it be such that the outbreaks are more limited? But it's like the cold now. I mean, everyone's going to get it.
I mean, I did hear from the news recently that they have been testing, like they're this close to finding a cure to it.
Yeah,
it mutates really slowly. Is the other thing it's about it, like remarkably slowly compared to other viruses, which are constantly evolving and changing to get into your immune system. The COVID strain is like really slow.
Now, if only we could use that to find a cure to cancer.
Well, cancer is
really complicated.
Yeah, it is, and it's got so many causes, and there's so many different kinds. It's not like cancer's not like one thing.
Yeah, but I don't want to get my goddamn body amputated just because I have one particular form of cancer.
Well, if you have your whole body amputated, I think
head dry, baby. Woo!
Hey, I'll be living the life like Bender when he sold his body for a lot of money.
Well, he's got his head, and it's got like the little freaking remote control car.
Yeah, he sold his body at a pawn shop for $50.
I want to watch that whole show again. Like I mean, it's been about 5 years since I've watched all of Futurama, and it's just such a great show. It's up there as one of my favorite cartoons.
Yeah.
I'd say compared to The Simpsons, it's aged better, but then again, it's only because unlike The Simpsons, it had the luxury of getting canceled by the greed known as Fox.
Well, 3 different times.
They brought it back.
What I would do to hunt down to sell the fox to the rat.
To the rat.
Well, I think everything except for dropping politics, everything except for Fox News is now completely owned by Disney. And
yep,
what I've seen from the clips of Family Guy funny moments on Twitter, they've been making a lot of jokes about being owned by Disney.
Well, let's be brutally honest. Family Guy is the kind of show that will just make easy jokes for cheap laughs. I mean, they've been doing this for 2 decades now.
Yeah.
That's the thing is Family Guy is weirdly inconsistent. You have these jokes that are just offensive or shocking that have no punch to them, and you've got like something that's pretty funny, and it's like you've got to kind of trek through the bad jokes.
It's actually a
I feel
formula.
about a lot of adult cartoons. You have to trek through a lot of bad jokes.
Yeah, with Family Guy, that's actually a formula. It's what they do is they say all of these things that are off-putting, right, and that just make you uncomfortable. Because what happens is, well, Carl's gone. Anyway, what happens is people start nervous laughing when they hear things that are super offensive or super cringy, and so then when they hit you with something that's almost funny, then it tricks you into thinking it's actually funny because you're already laughing out of discomfort.
Well, I mean, there are isolated jokes that I think there are moments where you get uncomfortable, like I want to unsee that, but there are things like that. There's jokes in the shows that like I actually laugh about, like the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever see Seth MacFarlane being interviewed, the guy's not an unfunny guy, but
it's just like the people that make Family Guy, they're just not that funny.
But
it's not just Family Guy; it's a lot of stuff he puts his name to. I think he just has like a team of writers or something that are just.
But it's a formula. It's a formula of tricking people into laughing at things that are just painful.
I think I spoke about this with like my industry friend. Like it's pretty clear like with Family Guy, they're just really desperate on getting canceled. Like they're just putting all these edgy.
They're like begging for it.
Like they're just pushing the envelope of like how edgy they can go, so that Fox can finally put the action on.
Well, I've heard that Seth doesn't even like Family Guy anymore. I don't know how true that is, but like I know that I think I don't know, just because I think the show is like American Dad's just consistently more funny and stuff. I think that he probably, and I know that like American Dad was kind of created because Family Guy got canceled.
If only Family Guy stayed canceled when American Dad got made.
It's so stupid. Like Family Guy has like this huge team of writers, and the joke on Family Guy that made me laugh the hardest is when Peter's like, "Hey Lois, diarrhea."
Yeah, the great thing about that was that she just starts cracking up.
Oh, Peter, I'm holding drinks.
I don't know why that's just so funny to me. It's so stupid.
I love the things like him doing stuff like he gets $50,000 from the government or something, so he builds he makes a moat around his house.
Or like,
that's what he'd spend the money on.
Or like the time he made his own country by the name of Pretoria.
My favorite was one of the gags I really liked, and this is from a later season. Was like he has a food truck and the horn on it goes like yeah, yeah, yeah.
God damn it!
Did you see Matt C's comment there?
Yeah.
Family Guy is written by manatee precogs that swim around pushing together non-cyclical.
Wow.
Very true.
Wow, call out from one show that hasn't been good in years to calling out another show that hasn't been good in years.
Oh man, I was sitting here just cracking up about that. That's hilarious. I'm
gonna say
the funniest Family Guy thing I've ever seen right there.
I'm gonna say that manatee episode of South Park was really bad in my opinion.
South Park is another show that I don't know. I don't like the whole shtick that like adult cartoons need to be like really offensive. Like I mean, it works when it's funny. It can be really funny, but like when you just have like a bunch of shows just feel like they just copy and pasted Family Guy, which a lot of people criticize as a copy and paste of Simpsons.
I see.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
It's just upsetting that like animation is seen as for kids when it's not. It's just an artistic medium. So like when something's made for adults, it has to be childish. It has to be like outwardly offensive and stuff like. That's why when Sausage Party came out, everyone's like, "Oh, it's a big deal. It's an adult movie." Meanwhile, like stuff like I don't know, like TV shows like Aeon Flux and stuff like that's not inherently like super offensive and edgy, but it's not for kids or anything. They don't get attention, and it's frustrating.
Well, part of that has to do with the celebrity behind it.
Oh yeah.
When you look at like Seth Rogen was involved in all of that, like that stable of actors that are all like they smoke pot together and whatever. That's who made Sausage Party.
Pot smoking atheist Jews.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. And so it's got that whole crew of people that do acting for Kevin Smith or whatever the hell it is.
Actually, wait. How is like the thing is with Seth Rogen? There's a lot of things about atheism, but how does it work if he's Jewish and he constantly talks about being raised Jewish and stuff like that?
Oh, because it's you see, the thing is that an atheist Jew is somebody who knows exactly what the God they don't believe exists expects of him.
I mean, I'm kind of an atheist, but I'm not the kind of asshole like the ones on Reddit who's just like constantly bringing people down just for believing what they believe in.
Yeah, it's like somebody says something like like about religion, and then somebody just comes in and gets like all upset about it.
I think like religion has
Reddit is particularly bad about that. Like I haven't seen that from YouTube or Twitter as much as like Reddit just has all the atheist people.
I think
Well,
like the best way to I think like the best way to describe like Reddit, it's like a website for people that are like too cringy for stuff like 4chan, but like not too edgy for a website like Kiwi Farms.
The thing I think part of it too is there used to be a very prominent skeptic and atheist community on Twitter. I mean on YouTube, but they kind of got chased off when the apologists showed up.
Oh boy.
So, they just and the whole Gamergate was not kind to the skeptic community. But
we don't talk about Gamergate.
Over here, somebody in the comments says, "Okay, Boomer, the stream." I've been told before. I'm the mind of a 60-year-old man in the body of a
20-year-old man child.
21-year-old man. I am officially drinking age. I can now have my root beer with caffeine in it.
Oh please! Oh please! You should be.
I know. I'm living on the edge. I don't even know if that's legal in my state.
Oh please!
Well,
drink
man.
some hard lemonade. Drink some hard lemonade, you coward.
I think you've had it
at a bar. I know that much because they're all shut down.
You know, no. The best alcohol drink, and this is something that I want to do for my comic: bottle of scotch, bottle of rum, bottle of wine, lemonade, and orange juice. Mix them all together, and you got the morning puke session.
Is it any good?
It's called the morning hangover. Well, it helps to repress trauma, as Boomer puts it.
Let's see. They usually go after. Timotei says they usually go after Christianity and give Islam a pass. That is the thing. Is it's usually like the easy targets. It's always like so that usually is like Christianity, but they'll leave Islam alone. But Islam is actually, if we're talking about how big Islam actually is, it's like 2.5 billion people or something.
Yeah, it's something like that.
It's it's also very large.
Yeah.
I guess before we talk about Boomer and Arthurianus, I do have one question for the name. Which sounds better as an alcoholic drink name? The Morning Redemption, or the Morning Puke Out?
The Morning Redemption.
Redemption is good.
Definitely.
Okay, Boogaloo.
It's sort of like the if you're gonna name a drink, it either needs to be something that it needs to not sound awful, or something that sounds like
I mean, again, it's like he's mixing scotch.
Right.
He's mixing scotch, rum, wine, lemonade, and orange juice.
Yeah, that does sound awful. Speaking as somebody who appreciates his alcohol, that sounds terrible.
Hey, I mean, we got the Flaming Moe, and apparently people say that's good, and all it was just like Homer just throwing in a lot of toxins and elixirs alongside like children's cough medicine.
Yeah, what I just thought of is one time I was at Chuck E. Cheese, and I put the High C fruit punch, and I mixed it with a High C lemonade, and I mixed that with the Sprite, and it tasted like Skittles.
Yeah, that would in fact taste like Skittles.
Incredible.
It's amazing what tastes like sugar when you put more sugar in.
So enough. I mean, aside from the random thing, Matt, before we get too far along, can you give us any kind of hints, Matt Trin? Sorry, gotta be specific. Can you give us any hints about what's coming up in Mythics issue 2? I don't know if you guys read issue 1, but I was a fan. What do we get? What kind of thing can we look at for issue 2? Just little.
Well, we're gonna see Spriggans in there.
Okay. So
I actually regret not being able to get the first issue. Are you guys going to be offering that with the second go round?
Oh yes, it's basically gonna be just mythics this time around because of all the issues we had with money and such.
And are you guys? Is the first issue available on the Wicked's website?
Yep, it's also available on Wicked's website, so you can just pick it up right now.
And do they have
Yes,
digital there as well, or just the physical copies?
Right now, I think it's just digital. But we're also going to have a limited time offer for the Kickstarter where it will also include the issue 1 variant cover.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. That's the one with that's the triptych, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I tell you what, man, that was a work of art right there. I was the reason I didn't pick it up is because I was kind of pinching pennies when I got it, and I was stretching things a little bit. But man, I really wished I could have got the triptych because it was really such a cool concept with the 3 connected ones.
Well, we've got your chance to get it now.
Awesome.
That's true. And what is do you know, have you decided on a price point for that when the campaign launches?
Well, basically, the idea is for this one is you get all both variant covers plus all the both comics in both physical and digital.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it'll be about $20.
Okay.
Cool. So,
Sweet.
is it boomer time?
Yeah. Let's.
Oh, it's boomer time.
Yeah, forget about Artanius. Nobody likes him.
I think Arthurianus is kind of cool.
Actually, yeah, I like him a lot.
He's like Ray the Flying Squirrel, but he's a Tanuki.
He's a good. We talk about the good boy Arthanius and not like the angry asshole who's constantly screaming because of daddy issues and his dead girlfriend.
Wow. So, to kind of explain this next bit on the thing is Cat has asked me to give him some dialogue pointers on a script, and I have not finished it yet. So we're just going to go over a few pages, and I'm going to try to share the screen, which means I might lose some people because I've never done this with this many folks that are stacked up here. So if this kicks you off, personally, I'm sorry, but we're going to go with it anyway. And we're going to take this for a little bit of time.
Epic survival round.
Absolutely.
It's the Hunger Games.
This is, as far as I know, this is just random. I have no idea.
The Mattriarchy Battle Royale.
We'll see what happens here.
Fortnite.
I win because I hid in the corner.
Okay. Crud. Okay, hang on a second.
I was able to get second place in a Fortnite match with no real skill simply because I hid the whole time.
Yeah, but that's fair.
Well, to be fair, Fortnite's the kind of game that's easy to cheese.
I was
Honestly,
able to
when I
boot
get
up
that
Fortnite
far-
once.
I want to turn that into an art, like Metal Gear Solid, my way around the field.
I have the boxes going in there right now. Like I've been playing it with my little brother and actually having a good bit of fun. And
Okay, well, who wants to commission me to draw Boomer and Artanius flossing?
We gotta do a Mattriarchy Battle Royale thing. I just have like all the characters like doing something stupid like that.
No. For Fortnite Battle Royale, like instead of people shooting each other, instead it's like a flossing competition. I mean, yeah,
It'd be cool to see our characters interact, even if
guess
it's
it
just
would.
for stupid shit like flossing.
I mean, you had Sonic flossing in the movie this year.
Honestly, I didn't mind that too much. Did Rhys just die?
What happened to the great Max?
Oh
Big
no!
Max?
It was
Oh,
just
no.
mentioning Sonic flossing upset him.
It was the power of the script. It booted him off.
He returns.
I do. My screen share is like being funny. Like there's something wrong with the browser, I think.
I think
You're right. I
it's,
heard this all before. You gotta turn it off and turn it back on.
I think it's better off that we just talk about this after the podcast and
Yeah,
just.
I think we'll have to because I can't do anything right now. So I can't. And since we can't do that, it's stupid.
Darn it!
Oh,
so I
yeah.
guess I better talk about my notes that I brought forth for this.
Yeah. So what let's go ahead and do then is we'll talk a little bit about the general the premise and you know the plan, and then we'll pretend like this part of the conversation happened.
Yeah, you guys just
Only the most
like,
professionalism.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You guys.
Whenever you make a mistake, don't admit to it. Just move on.
Yeah, just be like
It's
the kind of
showbiz,
people
baby.
Just be like the kind of people who just
If Twitter
say-
did that, we'd still be allowed to post 4 GIFs at once.
If you look,
know?
if you look cool getting up, no one will recognize you even fell in the first place.
Ultimate boomer move: commit Sudoku.
I mean,
You know,
let's
actually, you know, like, I would love to commit some Sudoku right now. I'm pretty good at it.
Well, it's
I had the
you
Baby
can.
Tails Sudoku game.
You could do that while we're here. Okay, so Kat, what is Boomer and Artanius?
Artanius.
Artanius.
Okay.
Boomer and Artanius. So I'm gonna pull a Homer Simpson right now and ask you guys who played PS1 and Sega Saturn or N64 styled games.
This guy.
I am raising both of my hands currently.
It works for me. I did
Okay, all joking aside, now Boomer and Artanius, it's the basic premise I could think of is like an angry sailor and his shape-shifting sidekick. They're traveling around across different islands, you know, like solving their problems or like you know, collecting these magical MacGuffins to stop this this new villain that's like overtaking the island that they're trying to save. Like
And
with
so
the
it's an adventure.
Mhm.
It's an adventure story.
yeah.
We're going to new realms and facing various villainy and perils and finding their way through it.
Yeah, along the way they meet new people. They have their constant battles up against like these two obnoxious villains that are just trying to get their revenge on these two after, you know, like essentially making them lose their job, making them lose multiple jobs they have as freelance henchmen.
I love the freelance henchman shtick. That's great.
Hey, when it comes to Pokes and Dampy, they have one object, and they'll do anything just as long as it isn't just as long as it ain't laundry or doing the dishes.
That's fun. And so this was inspired by like late 90s, early 2000s platformers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's actually, so you're talking about Banjo-Kazooie earlier. You guys were talking about Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
And I've looked at your designs that you've shared on the Discord, and they are fun, man. Fun designs.
I mean, I did come up with like a new redesigns for the main 3 characters since one of my friends said since I want this to be more story driven after the first 10 issues, like they recommended me to look up into stuff like Klonoa or Nights into Dreams and such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which
Arthurianus looks like he's designed by Naoto Oshima actually a lot. I get a lot of good vibes from that, from classic Sonic art.
I think I'm gonna show you like the new redesign that I did for like hold on. I think let me just show this. You guys can see what I'm here with, right?
Not yet, but I'm going to try to share it, and we'll see if somebody gets kicked. We'll just find out. So, are we ready?
Deathmatch.
All right,
Well,
Battle Royale.
Yep.
No. Okay, he's back. There we go.
There's Boomer. There's
Oh
a
yeah,
thing.
you're The Boomer redesign does have a lot of Oshima vibes to it. Same with Arthurianus, actually.
I think like one of my friends said that like I perfectly captured the video game appearance to Boomer now.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I can see it.
I also see what's the Mario artist guy's name? I forget his
Kotabe.
name. Yeah, Yuichi Kotabe. In the Tanuki dude. I forget his name. I'm sorry.
Arthurianus.
Arthurianus. That's it. I think I got it mixed up. I meant to say meant to say Boomer earlier. I apologize.
And no one's gonna mention Benny.
No.
She's not good enough for you.
No, it's really good. I just don't see inspiration from anything unless you want to point out.
No, I'm just saying that
It looks very original.
I mean,
No, I'm
it
just
looks
saying that-
kind of. I guess if you could say inspiration-wise, I guess her design looks a bit Klonoa-ish.
Oh yeah, with the ears.
I mean, she's supposed to be a fennec fox, so I try to make her ears as large as possible.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I think I like I said before, I mean, these are redesigned, but your style is just fun. And I really dig on that. So
I'd say like the ones that I'm trying to like make the characters that I'm trying to like make, you know, like some of my friends told me that it's better to keep their designs, but like they adjust them to like fit these new designs as a whole. Is like the characters I did for hold on, the characters that I did for the first chapter, since that's the one that I put the most work into. You know, like with the like the adventures here with in like Shoe Crab Island. I think you guys could see the designs, right? You could see the designs, right?
yeah.
Now we can.
It's loading. There we go. Yeah,
I love
there we
the
go.
thick outlines too. That's
Some
a
of my
dying breed.
Some of my friends are telling me to just keep the designs as they are, but just like adjust them into fitting like the new redesigns I did for Boomer, Danius, and Benny.
Mm-hmm.
These are the two henchmen that I was talking about, the freelance.
Dude, that bucktooth is the best. I love it.
You got a mud skipper and a turkey whose body has been deep fried, and the only thing that survived was like his tail, his legs, and his head.
I love about the thing about him being a mud skipper is that like if this was animated, that would be hilarious to watch.
Yeah.
Like just stepping because of the way those things look funny in real life.
Yeah.
It's like him walking his hind legs would look even funnier.
Yeah.
It's Scratch and Grounder.
Grounder.
But I'd say like for chapter 1, it's the most simple since it's more straightforward, and like the story for like the first chapters, like Boomer and Arthurianus, they're trying to like free the guardians of the island who had been like brainwashed by Lord Balthazar into doing his bidding, so he could put the locals in so much fear that he can be able to take over the island and then the entire world.
Right. No, I think those are. I've said this before, and I said this earlier today. I think your designs are so much fun. It's got a great style to it. I think you've got some really well, like, fleshed out characters from the reading that I've done. There are a couple of technical points, and we can talk about that off stream.
Yeah.
But I think there's just so much. There's a lot of depth that you put into it. I'd
say like the thing that would be like connected to like the Klonoa thing is like the more emotional moments. Like again, like Boomer's a prick, but like there's a deep emotional reason as to why he's like this. Like his bad history with like his his parents, mostly like with his dad and such, or like trying to get over the grief of like this one person like he was very close to who passed away, which was like one of the major reasons why he went off to set off to this adventure just to get his mind off of it.
Yeah. And that's a great motive. That's actually it's not unlike the hero's motive in I can't remember the character's name, but in Moby Dick, the narrator, where he went to the oceans, went to the sea just to have something.
Ishmael.
That's right.
There she is. There's Boomer's dead friend, the one that he constantly sees wherever he goes.
That's very cute design.
Yes.
That's a big oof on his end.
Big oop.
Big oof.
Yes, it is big oof.
So,
It's like
but yeah.
big O, but oof.
And so, what your plan for publication? Are you going to want to do that as a webcomic?
Yeah, it's a webcomic, and then once I get it finished, I want to have it pitched as a cartoon to Nelvana, since I want it to be animated like how 90s cartoons like Warner Brothers and such were animated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm not finished with like the stories I have planned for the comic.
Mm-hmm. And so, are you gonna plan on releasing it like a page at a time, or a chapter at a time, or have you figured that out yet?
Each issue is released each month.
Okay.
But to get back on topic, chapter 1 is straightforward. Chapter 2 is more like a deep delve with like the characters and themselves, while Boomer and Arthurianus are in this new island that will become their permanent home once the adventure is over. Beluga Reef, which has been taken over by these sky pirates that are just like this advanced race of sea life that's from another planet that they use like these mechanized suits to help them move around and breathe the air that isn't like water and such.
Sky pirates are a theme tonight. They're very, very popular.
But these
approve.
But these sky pirates, they come to Beluga Reef because they hear about this legend that there are these creatures. If you get them all together at once, they'll grant you one wish to bring back somebody you lost. And the captain wants to bring back his dead wife, but there's one issue with doing this. If these creatures are taken away from Beluga Reef, not only will it mess up the ecosystem, it will also drag the entire island down to the bottom of the sea, with all the people including its locals drowning and such. And with all the people on board that island, well, it's up to Boomer and Arthurianus to save these creatures and stop the sky pirates before it's too late.
Cool. Yeah, I like it.
It's a really great concept for an adventure story.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's just one chapter out of a larger journey too. It's got kind of an Odyssey feel to it, Yeah. So that's fun. I mean, I don't think you can do better adventure than Homer's Odyssey. So,
but then there's the third chapter. The king of Beluga Reef gets sick, and Boomer and Arthurianus discover a cure that's back home on Boomer's turf. However, they realize it's being infested by mutants and these cybernetic monstrosities that are being created by these two scientists. They're, doing the bidding of this evil mole rat race that have, been eradicating that have been the cause of magic and such. Just hiding into separate smaller islands, since Boomer's. I'd say the best way to compare is Boomer's home island is similar to that bigger states like the U.S. or Canada or United Kingdom and such. But anyway, these mole rats, they drove the magic people out of that country for good, and it doesn't help that they hired this assassin who almost drove all these magic doers into extinction, except for Benny, who was protected by this one character from Christ, I'm rambling today. So this one character was originally for another story that I wanted to do originally before I scrapped it, but decided to make it a part of but I decided to make the character a part of the universe of Boomer and Arthurianus. There's a rare species known as the Wollian. As you can see, he's a monkey cat. He's a monkey cat rubber creature.
I love it.
He has stretchy limbs.
He has Donkey Kong hair.
Yes, he has Donkey Konga hair.
Yes, he does.
From Donkey Konga 2.
Specifically that one, yes.
Yes. And this assassin, well, before he became this robotic monstrosity known as the Time Stalker. If you guys can hold on. He was set out to hunt down Benny, who was like still an infant during all this collateral catastrophe. Granted, this Wolian was able to not only save her, from this assassin, but also heavily damage him so badly that you can almost assume that he was dead. But they found him and they rebuilt him into. Oh, so okay, so like he was originally like this horned toad, like as somebody who had no emotion whatsoever except from pride, because he just enjoys this job he has, harming these people, just for his own personal gain. And this is the result of him, getting brutally wounded and turned into this cybernetic monster. Assuming my stupid computer can show him. There he is.
I love him. He reminds me of the guy on the Rocket. It's like, where's the rocket? That guy was awesome. That's who he reminds me of, though. I liked him.
So that guy is from the Rocketeer. Side note is I'm gonna try to remember the dude's name. Rondo Hauger, I think it was, and he had an actual genetic disease that cropped up and deformed his face. Not the actual actor. The actor who played him was somebody else, but he was inspired by this actor from the 40s and 50s who had this facial deformity, and it's like a weird bone growth disease. And so the guy went from being like an attractive young man to being this deformed dude in a matter of years. And so he did all these movies where he was the monster and the bad guy because he was this horribly ugly person that because of this disease he had, and eventually killed him. And I think Rondo Hauger was the guy's name. And I might be remembering that wrong, but his face was the inspiration for the face for the dude from the Rocketeer. And
what's the dude's name?
I think Rondo Hauger is the original actor who's the inspiration. But if you look up the movie The Brute Man, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 did that in one of the episodes, did a riff on it, and he was the actor in that movie. It's called The Brute Man. But yeah, that's that dude. So, totally unrelated, but it's really an interesting factoid. And there've been a couple of actors that have ended up having that disease, and it one of them was the guy who was the if you ever saw Happy Gilmore, his old boss, who's that is one of those, and this guy was also in I can't remember that cat's name at all, but he has the same condition, but not as severe as Rondo's. But yeah.
But I bring up Benny and Arthurianus as the magic stuff because Benny is one of the rare breeds of the elementalist.
Okay.
And Arthurianus, before he became the small little Tanuki, he used to be like the ruler of all these magical beings. He was known as the Wizard King before Time Stalker, before he became this robotic monstrosity, killed him, and he got reincarnated into the small little Tanuki.
Okay.
Which not only does Arthurianus learn about this through this one wise I saw the picture of the bird Carl posted, and I like how the bird looks so much that I want to design a character off of it. She not only explains to Arthurianus his origins, but she also teaches him his shape-shifting abilities, which benefits the duo a lot.
Right. Cool.
For future adventures.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I bring up these mole rat creatures because they are the cause of of magic going into hiding, and they want to drive it into extinction. Mostly because they are incredibly, magic is incredibly dangerous towards them, as it could, eradicate them from existence if they are near contact towards it.
Okay.
But they've developed an immunity towards it. However, their leader has been manipulating them into thinking that it's not the case because, he just wants an excuse to get rid of these magic users because, I don't know, petty revenge here and there. He was good friend. He was developing a great relationship with a magic wielder before his heart got broken, and he just got so pent up, full of rage that he just said all magic wielders must die for.
Right.
And he just wants, he just wants to guilt everyone into thinking that that these magic wielders are a threat, and he just wants to use that as an excuse to suffice his own selfish desires.
So, do you have you've got a ton of lore going on here. You've got all these fun elements that are part of the world you're working on. Do you have like a big story, like a epic beginning, middle, and end figured out, or you just?
The first chapter that you're reading, that's the beginning. This alongside the pirates are technically the middle, because there's one more chapter after this mole rat. So I guess I better explain the ending to the mole rats, assuming you want that.
Well, we could save some for the future, right?
Okay. I mean, I have yet to develop that in the Skyrits and the Sky Pirates, but the fourth chapter. Okay, so Boomer Arthurianus is this video game, and somebody brought this up, it's similar to that in vein of Wreck-It Ralph with its idea. I bring this up because these three stories were the main stories that were sold as games. However, the fourth story is something that doesn't happen because the fourth story involves a new villain. Okay, so I think I need to explain this. For context, if anybody knows the beta of Banjo-Kazooie, how it went from an RPG to a platformer.
Yeah.
So I thought the idea since in the second Banjo game the main villain of this canceled RPG he makes an appearance in a bar in Banjo-Tooie, and all he does is just complain about how his glory days are ruined by some stupid bear. But I thought instead of making it a joke, how about you make the character from the canceled game the integral part and the main antagonist of the final story, the driving force, the one who's been pulling the strings as to why he wants all this to come into full circle.
Yeah,
It's very interesting.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually, especially if you can find ways of leaving hints throughout the rest of it, so it doesn't seem like it just comes out of nowhere.
That's kind of an issue though. I don't know how I can make that.
We can talk about that later too, but I think that's one of the things that if you find a way to kind of pepper some of that through, then when you have the big reveal and everyone's like, I should have seen that coming, that's always the best kind of twist, the one that everyone should have seen but no one does see.
Yeah.
So
I guess if it's okay, we could talk about it in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah. Maybe the morning. I definitely want to finish reading the whole script of the first issue before we get into that, and that'll give me a good idea if I can see if there's anywhere how that plays out.
I mean, there's also the fact that with the fourth story, I had the idea of there being, since the whole Wreck-It Ralph ordeal, one of the main antagonists was kind of inspired how King Candy, his petty reason as to why he's the villain and such.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But I was speaking to this one friend of mine's, and I'm planning to work things out with her, since she and I are making this two-parter, as a bridge between the third chapter and the final chapter of sorts, 2 issues of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
How the origins, explaining how this one character ended up in Boomer and Arthurianus's world, and how this can be a great catastrophe because of it.
Yeah.
And the duo may or may not be assisted by the physical representation of the game over, which is just like this pixelated looking Grim Reaper dude named Grime.
Yeah, that's fun. So cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. It is almost 9:30, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it.
I'm sorry, like I spent this whole
That's fine. That's fine. I actually had a
good time. I don't mind. I love this thing.
Yeah, I often have a supper after stream, but I had it before today, so I'm great. So that's where I'm at with that. But thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, where can people find your stuff? And well, of course, some of it is will be in the description. Everybody who isn't, I know I've got Sprited's thing, I've got Dymo's thing. That's it for right now. But anybody who go and send me your links and I'll add it to the description. Well, let's go ahead and go around the table and everybody tell about where they can be found.
Okay.
So let's start with Matt Trin.
You can find me at Matt Trin on Twitter for Mythics information and announcements concerning the future. For the Mythoverse, it's pretty simple at Mythoverse, where you can find overall information on the entirety of the Mythoverse.
Cool.
Okay. Carl.
Work the camera. Well, I can just fill in for him. Okay, so you're gonna be able to find Dragblade when that comes out, because technically that is Carl's been putting in a ton of work for that, and he's perfect for the job. We're gonna try to put that on Webtoon about over the next couple of days. So we're gonna post we're gonna share a link around. You're gonna be able to follow me at on Twitter at McJerkface. So that's MC Jerkface. And you can find me on Twitter at McJerkface. Carl is at Carl's Amateur Hour. I think that most time he has his name as Carl Toons. That's not his actual tag.
Okay.
And then his comic Hallgrave can be found on Pappas. And you can find out more about that if you visit his Twitter page and his official Pencilman page that he links to from his Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
So, Cat.
Follow me on Twitter for my my trash artwork and my autistic ramblings and shit post. The Comfy Couch Cast YouTube channel. That's the podcast I brought up Miss Jazz the Funk and Milton Knight on. And go follow Captain Kodak. She's a wonderful friend of mine. She did my icon, and she's going to be helping out with the background paintings for the comic. Links will be provided to you all by Rhys over here.
Okay. Yeah, Rhys.
Rhys.
Fine. McGibson.
Yeah.
Yeah, where do we find you?
Well, I actually just covered that when I was talking about Carl.
Oh, did you? I was looking on the other screen. Never mind.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Sprited, you're up next.
Oh boy. So I have 2 Twitter accounts. My main one is Super Sprited 64. Contrary to popular belief, it's not spirited. Just Sprite like the drink with a D at the end. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Alfie updates, it would be at Alfie Comic. You could read Alfie on Webtoon, and I have a YouTube channel just called Sprited.
Oh shit! I forgot one more thing. I apologize if this sounds dickish.
Go for it.
I have commissions open. If you guys can help support that, I would appreciate it heavily.
I do commissions too, and I'm pretty sure Carl Tunes does too.
I need money.
Money, me money.
I'll do anything for money.
Not anything. So
anything.
We officially can't have that stance on the channel. So, I am of course Rhys. This is my channel. This is the show that Matt and I started back in the day, and Matt McGibson, that one, and of course I'm a writer and an editor for Ideal Comics. You can find us at idealcomics.net. Forcesofgoodandevil.net is our main webcomic. We intend to be getting a store up so you can actually purchase some stuff from us if you want. If you want to be part of making comics happen routinely, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/ideal_comics. You can follow me on Twitter at MDRhys and ideal_comics there as well if you want to get the news for that. So yeah, that's me. Thank you guys so much for coming, for tuning in. You guys, this was a fun channel, a fun chat, and I appreciate you guys being here. And next time, get out there and keep loving comics, guys. So
Take care, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks for having me on.